Hey guys, what's up? So in this one, we're going to be covering the Yatsufusa Guild Boss Guide for P5X Global version 2.2. This is week 2 of the Guild Bosses. And here's the team I'm going to be running. It is Wonder 1, Vino 2, Chord 3, Queen 4 with Phoebe as Navi. And then Wonder is going to be using Ex Machina with Bishamonten, Dionysus, and the highest level persona that you're not using on the other side. For me, that's Yanosik. So there's probably a lot to say off the top on this one. One, for slot-ins. If you don't have Queen and you can't borrow a Queen, or you had to borrow like Moko on the other side, or not Moko, or Closer on the other side, I would just go ahead and maybe try and run like the Joker team here. Basically anything that Yatsufusa is not strong against, which would be Curse like Joker, Ice for Fox, and then Electric for Yui potentially. So if you don't have Queen, you don't have access to a Queen, that's the route I would go. And then in terms of like the other individual units, if you don't have Chord, and you're making this your A side, I use Leon on the other side, but you could very easily use Leon on this side and just focus him in on Queen. And then if you don't have Phoebe, Okion is like a super easy slot in here because she has a lot of synergy with the ailments, and this whole team is about ailments. Getting into the personas, Bishamonten, you don't even need Rakunda on him. I'll be using Rakunda, but if you just have Imperial Purge, we really just need him for this passive. Any skill that we get to use on the boss with Bishamonten gets the job done. So, and then the standard Dionysus, Rebellion, Revolution. That's all you'll need here. So, and then as far as card sets go, Vino is running Departure and Control. Chord is running Trust and Prosperity. I can't show you Palk's screen like this, so I assume he's running probably the same cards. This is like the best in slot kind of Queen set, so I assume this is what he's running. But if I find out otherwise, I'll put it on the screen. But Awareness and Truth for Queen. And then my Phoebe is running Integrity and Labor. And then before we get into it, I just want to mention briefly, like, because some people had commented this on the last time we had this, like, exact boss, which was, I think, only, like, 2 weeks ago, that they weren't able to kill Yatsufusa in the same time frame I was, so what should they do? You really don't have to worry about it. Like, this fight is 5 turns total for me. Everyone's going to have at least 3 turns in the fight. 1 to get to the weakened phase, 2 in the weakened phase. But anything before that really is kind of irrelevant to the whole fight. It's just kind of getting to the 3 turns, the 1 turn before the weakened phase starts and the 2 turns in the weakened phase that really matter for these. Like, if you take 30 turns to end up where I am on turn 3, then it literally makes no difference because you're score capped in the first half and you end up in the same spot anyway. And so, like, our whole main goal here is to set up Rebellion and Unison Notes, the 2 buffs on Queen in the turn before the weakened phase starts. That's like turn 1 of our 3-turn kind of, max damage output rotation, right? And then in the weakened phase, we want to be able to use Chord's highlight, Queen's highlight, Catchy Hook with Chord, and then 2 S3s in Crash Out with Queen. So everything we're doing is just to build to those last 2 turns. So again, don't worry. Like, if your Queen's not doing as much damage, this Queen is busted, right? It's like an A2 Queen. Palk's Queen is really strong. It's way stronger than mine. The only reason I don't use an A0 is because I don't have an A0. That's how it works in my head. Like, if I can't use the A0 for the video, then I might as well just use, like, the best thing I can, if that makes any sense, because this is what I would do on my own personal runs anyway. So yeah, just like, if you are concerned, like, I'm not killing quick enough, I can't follow this, just do whatever you have to get in a position to do what I do in the last 3 turns. Like, I have the Lufel thing at the end. Just whatever I do on the last 3 turns, just on your last 3 turns, do the same thing. And anything you do before that really is kind of irrelevant, outside of, like, if you waste a highlight or something and you can't use it again, on those last 3 turns. Again, if you have questions, obviously just leave them down in the comments and I'll try and answer as best I can. But I think that kind of covers everything I wanted to say before we got into the fight. So I will see you when we get into it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start off with a Rakunda on Bishamonten. Again, if you're a little bit more concerned about killing Yatsufusa, maybe you can use Imperial Purge there. I don't know if that nets out to more damage than the Rakunda, but if you feel like it does, then maybe go ahead and do that. It doesn't really matter a ton. Then we'll go ahead and use Diving Ray. And now highlights are up. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and use Vino. If you think of something better, or if, like, there's something on Wonder that you think is better, I'm going to go ahead and use Unison Notes on Queen. And then I'll go ahead and use Sanction Drift. Again, if you have an A0 Queen or whatever, and you need to use, like, skill 3, there instead of skill 1 because it does way more damage, then go ahead and do that. And my Phoebe's up. I'm just going to basically be using Enchanted Stir to, like, delay Phoebe into the weakened phase to use her skill 3. Wonder will swap to Dionysus. I'll use Revolution on Queen. Vino, I'll go ahead and use Bullseye Bomber on the boss. And now, if you have Chord, you will knock one of these guys down. This is like a nice opportunity, you know, if you are A0 to get like a nice one more hit in on the boss. But for me, because I'm pretty confident I'll kill next turn regardless with Queen, or not next turn, but 2 turns, sorry, with Queen, I'm going to go ahead and use her one more on the Nigi Mitama. If you're in the same position as me and you are pretty confident that next turn you'll be able to kill Yatsufusa, I think targeting this one is probably the best because it uses ice attacks, and those ice attacks can put freeze on Queen, and you know, it's just like you lose some damage, right? But it was happening to me quite a bit, so I'm going to go ahead and just take out that ad, and then with Queen, I'll use President's Prowess. Again, if you have lower awareness Queen, you'll probably need to attack. I'm pretty sure with my A1 Queen when I was running this, I did have to attack this turn. It was really close, but I did, so I imagine with A0 you will. I'll just go ahead and heal Vino. It doesn't really matter. And then this turn you can get kind of unlucky. He uses that like AoE Bless where like it has a chance to insta-kill. But we got lucky there, so if you get insta-killed there, obviously it's just a reset. But and then again with Phoebe, I'm just going to go ahead, use Enchanting Stir again. And then we're going to go ahead and we will use Wonder's Highlight. Doesn't matter if you use it this turn or like next turn or whatever. We're only going to be able to use the 2 more highlights regardless, because just the way the highlight gauge fills, you know what I mean? There's not enough time to get an extra highlight off. So if you want to wait like a turn for whatever reason, you can. But I will go ahead now and use Rebellion on Queen with Dionysus. And then I'll use Diving Ray with Vino. Chord, I'll reapply Unison Notes for the next 3 turns. And then with Queen, I'll go ahead and use Sanctioned Drift. And that'll bring us to the weakened phase. And now I'll go ahead and use Phoebe, skill 3 on Queen. And then I will switch back to Bishamonten. I'll use Rakunda. But any skill you use on Yatsufusa with Bishamonten will get the job done. And then I'll go ahead and use Bullseye Bomber. And now we'll wait 1 more turn here, and then we can use Distortion on the boss. We'll save Ketchup for the last turn because there's no way you can use it twice in the weakened phase, because there's like a 1-turn cooldown. Even at like A6, you wouldn't be able to use it twice in the phase. So we'll just save it for the last turn where like max buffs are applied. But we will go ahead and use Chord's Highlight, and then we'll crash out, and then we'll go ahead and use skill 3. Again, keep in mind, this Queen is going to do way more than your Queen. Like, she does more than double damage than my A1 Queen. So, again, the awareness is, like, mean a ton on the Queen. This Queen is super strong. I'll swap back to Dionysus now, and I'll use Revolution, reapply this. Vino, Diving Ray. Now Chord can go ahead and use Catchy Hook. And now, if you don't have Phoebe's 5-star, you may not get Phoebe back again for this. Doesn't really matter as long as you use the skill 3, the 2 premium stacks last turn. Like, that's where the majority of the buff is coming from. But I'll go ahead and just like apply this skill 1 on here. And then Queen will go ahead and use her highlight. And then Queen will use her skill 3, and we will see how we do here. So 78, so that is a record, I think, but pretty close to what I was doing in like my testing. But yeah, obviously, if you don't have an A2 Queen, you're not doing 78 million. My A1 Queen was not doing anywhere near this. But the rotation's like the same, and the strategy is pretty much the same. But again, like, it doesn't really matter. The awareness is really only going to change like the final damage numbers. Hopefully, if nothing else, this gave you like some sort of an idea to work off of. Again, if you have any questions or whatever, leave them in the comments, and I'll try and answer as best I can. But otherwise, I appreciate you guys watching as always, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good one.